welcome everyone to the next Cyber Lounge Coffee Chat. We're here with Manit, Martin, and Anthony, and we're going to be discussing sort of cert to certification life balance, as well as climbing the career ladder in cyber and breaking into cyber in the first place. So, does everyone want to introduce themselves? How about you start, Anthony?
Hey guys, cheers for that, Adam. As Adam said, Anthony Buchanan here, one of the managing consultants here at Westpoint. Like I say, know a lot of the familiar faces in here. We've been chatting with Manit for a while now. Like I say, pass you over to him.
Cool, can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
All good.
Cool, so hi everyone, I'm Manit Sahib and I'm the head of penetration testing and the red team lead at the Bank of England. So for those who don't know, this is known as ethical hacking. So our purpose is to find and exploit vulnerabilities in systems to ensure they are protected before the bad guys come looking. So I'm certified by the National Cybersecurity Centre and Her Majesty's CSG check scheme. I hold a number of private certifications, including OSCP and CREST. So prior to my current position, I was an ethical hacker for PwC, so a Big Four consultancy, and I performed a number of assessments for brands across the world. I now hack to protect the UK's critical national infrastructure, such as the UK's payment systems, banknote systems, and gold bar systems. And with that, all comments are my own and not of that and my employer. So yeah, just put that disclaimer out there.
Cool, very good.
And Martin.
Hi everyone, my name is Martin. I'm a cybersecurity security analyst and IT support analyst. I work at Tickmill, brand new in the industry, newbie here, so you can relate to me. And I followed Manit's advice. He's the one who inspired me to be more proactive. And actually, after his previous talk of his, that's when I started being more active, applying and doing executing on all these advices, and that's how I got into the industry. So
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's actually a great story to start. Maybe you guys can elaborate on that a little bit more. I'm sure it'll be really useful for a lot of the people here.
Manit, if you wanna.
Yeah, sure. So I'm normally like a resident panelist speaker at City University. So all the postgrads or grads coming out looking to get a job into cyber, what their expectations are, how to kind of break into that field with the challenges and even COVID. So I think it was early this year, I did the conference. Martin was one of the attendees and there was a lot of back and forth with questions, which I'm hoping to get from today. And then we even took it offline into like a Zoom after party where Martin had a chance to ask loads of in-depth questions about, what kind of certs do you do, how you manage your time, what work you do day to day. And all the advice that I gave Martin or the team, the attendees, Martin was one to put it into practice. And then, maybe Martin, you can elaborate of where you've got to now, but taking that advice, he was able to get into cybersecurity and become a cybersecurity professional.
Yeah. So how it started, a little bit of a backstory. So I was working in infrastructure as only IT support. And after a year and a half, almost 2 years of looking for a position, I decided to attend the work fair, the work meeting or whatever, which was related to cybersecurity, because I thought it was going to be interesting to find out something more. And it turns out that, I joined. Glad that we had a Zoom afterwards, like talk as well to get more into depth. And from there, all of the advice, which was, it gave me structure, if I can say, it gave me some proper structure on what to follow, what steps to take, and what exactly to do to get into cybersecurity. Because I've been looking for so long for such similar positions in this field. Eventually, I started looking even in other fields. But after Manit gave me this structure of certifications, what to do as an outside activities to show interest, to show passion, but actually show practical passion, apply this passion and show it with work. And from there, I just started applying. And in 3 months, I think, in 3 months of applying only for these kinds of positions, I was able to secure a position. So that's like the overall broad view of how the whole process happened. And then from there, I kept in touch with Manit, and yeah, of course, after
Cool.
Yeah,
So
I think
besides being annoying.
It's a great
sorry,
story.
Adam, yeah.
Scott just said, awesome job, guys. Love and was very surprised by how many people want to help those coming after them in cybersecurity. And I think I see a lot, I'm not sure about you guys, a lot of content about people saying, you should get a mentor to guide you through that journey and just kind of pass on the knowledge to you. And it seems like, well, it's absolutely worked for you guys, hasn't it?
Definitely. I mean, one of the challenges you face now from like when I got into the industry is there's so many certifications, there's so much material, and it's almost like information overload. And when Martin talked about structure, it was me telling the attendees, instead of going for all these certs, look at the ones that are valued in the UK if that's where you live. And OSCP is the gold standard, and then also CREST. So get accredited from CREST, because when you have those two, you're employable anywhere. So I think with all the stuff that's going on in the industry and so many people trying to make money out of courses, it's always nice to have a professional kind of guide you through and say, actually, don't spend your time doing that. Focus on this course. Don't worry about the silver spoon syndrome. And yeah, put your head down, get it, and you'll get a job. Exactly what Martin's done.
Yeah, it seems to be about you can do the same thing a million times, but you need to do it the right way for it to be successful. And I kind of wanted to get Anthony's opinion on the certs as well, because you obviously see people apply with different certifications all the time. Which do you put a focus on? Which certs?
It's exactly as Manit said there, isn't it? It's obviously understanding your market. If you're in the UK, obviously, as you said, CREST is obviously kind of the main ones, isn't it? And I say OSCP around there. I had a chat with someone the other day, actually, Manit. It sounded very similar to as what you just saying there. He had was a little bit unsure of what he wanted to kind of get into. He thought it was kind of the offensive side. I think that's probably the biggest thing, isn't it? Have a focus of where you want to go. It's almost like, oh, anything in security, but it's just too big, isn't it? He wants to go into the offensive side, and he was chatting to someone about it, and he did the CEH course, but then also kind of CompTIA and a few of the defensive ones as well. He'd just been sold them, I think, which is great, obviously, to get a well-rounded kind of view on it all, isn't it? But if you're going to be kind of targeted, kind of having a look at the CPSA route almost, isn't it? And then maybe your CRT, OSCP, but yeah, actually having a target of where you want to get to, I guess, isn't it? It's kind of just reiterating what you've said, really, isn't it? And being a bit more focused, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. So, I advise people, and especially I do like some mentoring in-house in the Bank of England. And for the schemes that we run, something like cybersecurity or Security Plus, those are more towards people coming into the industry that don't have that foundation knowledge. So we always say, if you don't know networking, if you don't know like Linux or Windows, get your Security Plus. It will force you to learn these things, and then you'll be at a good place to kind of bridge the OSCP gap. And you're exactly right, Anthony, in terms of like finding a niche. So think about it as there's so many people doing hacking or ethical hacking. Find your niche, whether it's web app, whether it's social engineering, whether it's red teaming or infrastructure. So one of the things I found when I was at PwC is everyone was like good at web app or infrastructure testing. So that forced me to go out and find, so what's my USP? And I found that social engineering, the physical element, because I can talk, to going in, trying to break into site, that was my niche. So any engagements I had, it was like, hey, man, it's going to take them. Coming into Bank of England now, trying to do that, I'd probably get arrested or shot. So I had to kind of adapt slightly, and that's where I focused into red teaming, and that is my niche. So creating content or creating a space for around red teaming, learning everything there is to know about red teaming. So Anthony, I know we've spoken before, but yesterday I just completed the Azure red team kind of boot camp, but it's that proactive learning as well, which I'm sure we'll come on to when we're discussing breaking into the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. As you're saying, there, it's getting niches. As if I say we've got quite a few companies that are desperate for a CTL web app. So if anyone wants to get focus on that area, that's definitely one that's in hot demand at the minute. But yeah, like I say, it's getting the generic at the start, isn't it? And then focusing on an area that you're passionate in, I guess, isn't it? And really want to kind of get into and really want to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So I think that's a really easy segue into what the first kind of thing you wanted to talk about, Manit, about the balance between your personal life and work and getting these kind of certifications.
Yeah, I think if you speak to any InfoSec professional, it's always like, how do I do the certs? How do I maintain my life? How do I do, my standard day-to-day job? It's more of a hobby than anything else. And, in this industry, with technology always changing, you need to be on the top of your game. It's not like a cert you can get and keep for 5 years and that's the end of it. You need to continuously learn. So the way I approach it and, to get that cert life balance is I plan for 2 certs that I'm doing for the year. I kind of allocate the month that I want to do them, and then I will take off a week or 2 weeks from work to do it. So I do it in my personal time, but I still have that 9 to 5 structure, but technically it's not a holiday, but for me, it's like I'm learning, I enjoy it, I'll do it that way. Another thing others have found, because we've ran this talk in Clubhouse, which I'll plug later, but what they have said is get involved with your employer. So, sell it to them, see how it's going to benefit the organization, see if they allow you time during your day to study for the certs, and even getting funding for the certifications. If it boasts your CV, it's probably going to boast the organization, especially in consultancy. The more certs you have, the more they can sell you out as. So, having that relationship or good relationship with your management and advising them on what you would like to do and get them to support you with it. So don't just think that you're by yourself.
Yeah, no, makes complete sense.
It's a really interesting take on it, and it's not one I've seen. We speak to people constantly that they want to know what kind of certs to get, what kind of certs to get for certain jobs and so on, which ones are useful. But I think it's something that a lot of people don't talk about, the importance of balancing it properly to make sure you get them and also maintain the personal life and work life at the same time. Which I mean, today's at the start of Mental Health Awareness Week, so couldn't have been a better time really to start this discussion.
Definitely. I've seen so many InfoSec professionals get burnt out with this because, I mean, when you're coming from like consultancy or hacking space, you're on client site for however many 8 hours, and then you're going in the evening and you're probably writing up what you've done. Even your weekends are probably report writing. So trying to do a certification on top of that, it just feels like complete burnout. So I've tried that before. It hasn't worked. So for me, it's like I will take a holiday so everyone knows I'm on holiday, but that's my study time, and that's how I level up in the industry. And it's important to note that in this industry, you have to have that continuous learning.
Yeah, definitely. We had a guy working recently that he's got his QSTM certification, but he hasn't really been doing it much for kind of almost 18 months or so. And he actually interviewed for a couple of places recently, and like I say, he kind of said it openly. I've realized how kind of not far behind I fell, but because I just haven't done it, and things change, don't they, in 18 months to 2 years. And it's just one of those, isn't it, that you can't just sit and admittedly he hadn't been doing it day to day for a while, but it's still a similar kind of thing, isn't it, of how things definitely move on.
And Martin, do you have a similar structure to Manit with working towards your certs?
So because I'm still in uni and working,
Close, yeah.
it gives a lot of pressure from both. I mean, you can burn out easily. I've done it before. It was awful. Right now, I made some kind of structure, separating both, never mixing them. That helps me. And including certificates in this day-to-day life, it's students' way of approaching those things. Like sometimes you just stay late. Sometimes you're not gonna get enough sleep. I mean, it's just the truth. You're not always gonna get 8 hours or however you need. For some certificates right now, I'm focusing on. I want to take OSCP, So this is going to be like my big major one. Before that, I have CCNA, some other ones which I did. Of course, I did introduction like cybersecurity and those kind of things, but I think they're not. They're more like when you get into this field, it's not that difficult. I mean, if you're aware of the other ones, networking and all those sorts, you have the basics. It's going to be easy to get them. But for the major ones, I completely agree with Anthony and Manit. You do have to have a structure, allocate certain time, get a days off if you can. And yeah, I mean, that's what I'm doing. I spoke with my management, and it's really important to find a manager and someone who can support you with your goals. Because if you don't feel this support, you would be on your own, and it will make it really difficult trying to combine both work and personal goals. And eventually, you might get some support while studying at your workplace. That would be, yeah, beneficial both for them. And I think Manit mentioned it before, and when we spoke, if you can get mix them both, work and working towards your goals, that would be best outcome.
Cool. So I just want to rifle through a few questions first before we kind of move on to the next topic. So we have a couple of people here, Jason, Scott, and Anjali, asking about certifications. So Jason said, do comp TIA certs make a person marketable in the UK, in the EU? Sorry. So I think Anthony question might be for you though.
In the EU, sorry, was that Adam? I was just looking back up through there.
Yeah, in the EU.
Absolutely, as kind of Manit, I think, touched upon earlier, didn't it? That kind of gives you the foundations, I think, doesn't it? To it's almost kind of something everyone has to know, I guess, doesn't it? So it gives you the foundations to. If it's kind of just that by itself, I'd probably say, probably not so much. But then with that, it can kind of give you an option to go in whatever direction you want, I guess, don't you? If that makes sense.
I would say for stuff like CompTIA and Security Plus, don't just take it as like a cert to say I've got it. Take it as a learning experience, because you're building that foundation. Don't try and rush it, because that will impact the courses that you do later on. So whether it's OSCP or Red Teaming or whatever it is. So the fact that you've got a cert, it's good, but don't just get it and use it as like a badge to get a job. That's my opinion, and you guys probably know better, but that's the way I see it.
Definitely.
Yeah, I definitely had that repeated a few times on previous events. Use it to learn, not just to have a cert, because then it means little to nothing other than a few letters on your CV. So Laxmi said they wanted to thank us for running this event. No problem. It's happy to do so. Jordan asked, do you think organizations in general have enough of a focus and investment in development within the industry? Or is there more of a reality that the expectation is personal, both in terms of cost and time management?
I would say it depends what organization you're going to. I mean, if you're looking at like smaller companies and startups, when there's, they're probably stretched already, they might not have as much time. But when you're looking at big environments, big organizations, they're definitely going to have a development structure. It's what I have with my team. It's what I push to them. It's what's been pushed to me. And if you're in the consultancy space, then yes, definitely, because as I said, the more qualifications or certifications you have, the better the consultancy look, and the more they can charge out for you, and the more increase you'll get on your pay.
I guess it's kind of getting that fine line, isn't it? That they obviously want to, go into the consultancy side. They want to kind of get you on site as much as possible, don't they? At whatever rate they get you from there now, and it's how much time do they give you where they're not making your money to make you then more profitable and like you said, a better, more credible to the company, I guess, isn't it? And I think companies are kind of starting to. Certainly, a lot of the guys that we work with, going a little bit more towards that way of, like say, giving you a bit of, it might be a day or two, a month, whatever it is, at least some dedicated time, to help you from that side. and obviously into the build up between towards the certifications, given as you've done, taking a bit of time off or giving you a bit of time off, whatever, to help you from that side as well. But I guess it's a fine line for them as well, isn't it? They want to make the money, I guess, isn't it? Want to almost farm you guys out as much as possible, isn't it? To get the money coming in, and it's getting that fine line, isn't it?
Yeah, I think nowadays, like management style, they're aware that cybersecurity is such a changing environment that they'll probably say to you on employment, or once you've joined, that we do have like a research day or some research time, because things are changing. You need to develop your skills, and they should be able to provide that. If they don't already have a structure, you could always ask them. I don't think they will say no if you're progressing yourself and them.
Definitely.
I was gonna say, yeah, if you ask from the beginning, straight from the beginning, they will let you know. If you tell them your goals and tell them they can benefit from it, from you learning more, that would definitely give you a
I guess it's that other side almost
with
as well.
the company or not.
Sorry, Martin. Yeah, no, completely right. That's it's like other side, isn't it? Where there's such a demand or boom within the whole of cyber, isn't there, and almost a shortage of professionals. It's kind of getting that line, isn't it? They need you to be working as much as possible, don't they? There's getting that line, isn't it?
Yeah, you're just a number. Go do the job. No, honestly, I think it's changed from that. Like, well, from what I've seen, the industry has like been made aware, and you have things like the Mental Awareness Week, and like we've talked about, and I think the employers do take that into consideration.
You'd hope so, yeah. And I think one of the problems, I guess, that we've run into a few times is a lot of people are aware of this, and we're all saying it. It's how many are actioning it, and how many are actually taking heed of what we're saying when they're actually hiring. We've had a lot of people. We had Greg on previously, Greg Vandergast, who basically said, he tries to do it in a unique way, which kind of stands out as very refreshing to see and hear. And I think it's a case of more people actually getting on board with the kind of things we're saying about, giving people a chance, setting up the industry so that the right kind of people with the right enthusiasm can come in and not be blocked out by job descriptions that ask for 5 years experience and 7 certifications that they couldn't possibly have.
Yeah.
So Jordan said, certs are valuable in many cases when you're in the door, but they are not differentiators for hiring, as there are a lot of people out there with them already. They are not unique enough. So how would you respond to that, Manit?
So what was that you cut out, Adam? So it was basically about certifications already having them to get in the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's basically saying that. Yeah. Whilst certifications are useful.
So it might not be the fact that you have a certain certification, but employer will look at that proactivity on that individual's part. They've gone out there, they've got a cert, relates to the job that they want to do, fine. I'm hoping you're doing a cert and going for a job that is aligned to it. But yeah, I do think that hiring managers do take that into consideration when they're looking at individuals. Obviously, they've got to think about team fit, work-life balance, and also thinking about as an individual, how do they fit in, and are they going to be proactive on the job, and what are their hobbies? Because if you're just coming into cybersecurity for a 9 to 5, then, and this is me being blunt, it's probably not the industry for you, because it just changed so quickly. So with regards to that question, I do think hiring managers do look at certs.
Yeah, I certainly do. So we've got a couple of junior roles at the minute, junior pen testing roles, and that was kind of the prerequisite really. Has got either a CPSA or OSCP off their own back, because then that proves obviously they're serious about it. Obviously, like you said, the main thing is the passion, enthusiasm, and cultural fit and things, isn't it? Which you can generally get from a phone call, whatever. But I say that initial bit, isn't it? Is it what have they gone off and done on their own back? You know, the hack the box and things like that. Just kind of how much you're doing in your own time as well, isn't it? I certainly think it stands out.
Yeah. So I guess that partially answers your question, Jordan, in that and Scott, and someone else asked it before, in that certs are considered. But if you are competing with, for example, 40 other people with the same certifications, it's all about making yourself stand out and essentially marketing yourself. So how active are you on LinkedIn? Are you spending free time in labs? Are you working on any of these kind of hack the box systems? Are you connecting with people in the industry, big names, or sort of hiring managers, and letting them know your interest? How much are you doing that? And that's when you've all got the same certifications. If that is the case, that's how you make it yourself stand out as unique.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, just to touch on that, Adam. So if you're going for consultancy, then Cert, you definitely, they will look at you because, well, you definitely need them because a hiring manager will say, well, I can have you as chargeable income. If you're looking at more internal, then as you said, you know, being active in the community, it's not just a cert you get, but have you got like a GitHub repo? Have you done some CVEs? What's your rank on Hack the Box? Have you done that? Have you done CTFs? Have you got a blog? So it's all these things that contribute. So if you're looking at, you know, not a consultancy, but a position maybe internally, and you don't have a cert and you're still active, you know, you can still apply. You've got a good shot.
Yeah, for sure. Rob just asked, he listed out his kind of, he's done quite a few of those things that we've just mentioned, and he's just wondering how he conveys his transferable skills to recruiters. So Anthony, how would you say is the best way to go about that?
Like I say, a CV is a piece of paper, really, isn't it? You know, which, like you say, a lot of people have similar things, isn't it? It's getting that personality across, and like I say, having a chat with, let's say, us as recruiters, I guess, isn't it? And then hopefully we can pass that on to people like Manit or you know, the hiring managers, and say, hey, listen, there's, you know, someone I think you should have a chat with. He's very obviously, clearly, really motivated by passionate. Has obviously done a lot of things in his own time as well, and kind of hopefully trying to relay that across to the relevant people.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing stopping you picking up the phone to cybersecurity recruiters, just like Anthony, and having a chat about what they what kind of roles are available, and finding out a lot of that information. I mean, Anthony, I've seen you speak to people of all kinds of levels and give different kinds of advice to people on how they can better get themselves across.
Yeah.
So Jason just asked, he has an ethical question about source code. Is it considered ethical to download Windows source code that was leaked via the SolarWinds hack? Is that considered ethical for someone that is, say, working in network penetration? He's asking out of curiosity.
I mean, if it's online, it's online, right? You're a researcher, so you could take that as you doing research and reading through it. What you do with it, then it becomes a grey line of, okay, is it ethical? But yeah, as researchers, security professionals, you know, it helps us do our job if we can analyze what's happened.
Yeah. I think that answers your question, Jason. So Scott asks, I think I have a decent answer to this. How important is networking with organizations? Not the best route from a recruiter's point of view, but I'm told that a lot of vacancies are filled directly through connections made on LinkedIn. So that might be true, but I believe, Anthony, is it around 78% of jobs are never actually advertised? Is that right?
Yeah.
So I think sort of the way I see it, Scott, is a recruiter, you know, they're there all day, not to big ourselves up, but, you know, Anthony's job all day is to try and find people like yourself and find them jobs. So he's going to have a lot more time to sort of network and build a relationship with you. And yeah, I guess you can speak to organizations directly. And sometimes, if I'm right, from the junior levels, Anthony, that's sort of the best best route?
Yeah, like I say, look, generally we don't kind of get asked too often for junior roles, but like I say, as Manit's kind of doing now, and as we spoke before, there's always people willing to help and, like I say, almost act as mentors and give advice. And I say, who better to learn off than people like that, I guess, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. So we're kind of coming to, I think, the end. Does anyone want to throw in any last-minute questions that we can answer before we finish up here? We'll give it another minute or so. In the meantime, everyone, I'm just going to post a link to Manny. If you want to send me the link to your Clubhouse group, I can make sure everyone gets that.
Cool. Yeah,
and if you maybe want to,
I will do.
Now's a good time to pitch that. If you want to promote that a little bit.
So,
yeah.
So in Clubhouse, I've created a red team, or breaking into security kind of space or forum. So every week, Thursday, 8 p.m. UK time, industry professionals like myself, give advice on what we've done, talk about things that we've encountered day to day. Obviously, it's quite generic, but there are questions. It's more like an open space. You can come on, jump on stage, ask questions, just collaborate with us, and find out the latest trends. We do offer break into cybersecurity tips once every month, but I'll send Adam the link and you can check that out. I think we're growing now. So we started about 2.5 months ago. We've got around 750 members. So yeah, still growing. So if you're looking for insight from the professionals, just hop along.
Cool. And I believe Clubhouse is now available on Android, right? So anyone can take part.
It's still invite only. So I will send you the link and you can use that link to sign up.
Awesome. And it seems like you guys have really good turnout for those. So it's definitely worth a lot of the people here jumping on and finding out a little bit more from there. Of course, we're running regular events here. We have another one up on the 18th, which we're actually setting up today, and we'll send invites out for, and another on the 25th, which again we'll send invites out for. Drew says that the Clubhouse room is amazing, worth joining. So if that's not going recommendation, I don't know what is. Cool. So I think we're about finished here. Yeah, Scott just said brilliant. Been asking for this sort of thing with a UK perspective, which of course we work across the EU, so we kind of have a broad range of knowledge on that. But yeah, so feel free to reach out to any of us on LinkedIn afterwards to keep this discussion going. I've linked the Cyber Lounge in the chat on the event, so feel free to jump in there and ask any questions you have for us. But I think that's all from us today. Can't wait to see you at the next event, and have a fantastic day, everyone.
Adam, I did have one thing I wanted to say, and
okay.
I don't know. You can maybe strip it out later if you don't agree with it. But what I found is a search engine CV hack. So this is something I did. So it's about using your white space in your CV, and putting terms for like the most searched keywords, so sophisticated words or technologies that you're interested in, highlighting them all in white. So when you print the CV, you can't see them, but when it goes through a search engine, because it's got all the keywords there, it will bring your CV to the top, or hopefully to the top.
That is pretty sneaky. We actually read all CVs manually, but I believe, yeah, anyone who's will definitely kind of turn that into a snippet and get that on LinkedIn. Manit's hacks to get yourself a job.
Yeah. So
that's really useful. Yeah, Scott was just about to leave, so make sure. I expect to see your CV with that in there, Scott. Okay, yeah. So unless you guys have any more information you want to put out, we can say goodbye.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate you having us on, and thank you for your time, and thanks to the audience for joining and listening to us.
Of course, yeah, no problem. Glad to have you.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Cheers, Martin. Cheers, Manit. Pleasure.
All right.
See you later.
Yeah, see you guys.
Cheers, guys.